Welcome back to my 2025 NHL Mock Draft Top 32 Prospect. Inside the video, guys, I'm not going to go deeper about each player. I'm going to release all my 32 pick for the upcoming NHL Draft. First overall pick, the New York Islanders, and they select the left defenseman Matthew Sheffer. 22 points, 17 games last season. For me, Sheffer is all about his skating, his work edges, his speed, how he plays the game with his hockey IQ. And of course, he reminds me a lot Jake Sanderson in NHL. That's the reason he's a number one this year on the NHL draft. Second overall pick, the San Jose Sharks select from Saginaw, Michael Misa. Misa have an excellent season, 62 goals last year in NHL with over 130 points. In my opinion, Misa remind me a lot of Tyler Seguin in NHL. The guy have a great hands. That's the reason Misa my number two. The third overall pick, the Chicago Blackhawks select Anden Frondell for Sweden. Frondell did not have a great start of the season, but because of the injury, but after that, he becomes stronger and stronger until to the end of the season. From my opinion, he reminds me of that Josh Norris in NHL. 6'1", good on the both sides of the game, and he can play winger or center. Fourth overall pick, the Utah Mammoth select from Quebec Maritime Hockey Junior League, Caleb Dinwiddie, a big 6'2" center. Great player on all the details of the game. Big body, have a good hands, good skater. In my opinion, for me, it reminds me a lot of Nico Escher. So he would be a great center on the both sides of the game. This is a great additional player and a prospect for the Utah. Number 5 overall, the Nashville Predators select another center. This time is James Hagens. Again, played with the Boston University last year of 37 points in 37 games. For me, it reminds me a lot of William Nylander in NHL. He's only 5'11". We like him to get a bit more physical, but at the end, this is a great pick for the Nashville Predators. Does not have a lot of center prospect in their organization. 6th overall pick, the Philadelphia Flyers select another center, Brady Martin. Martin is only 6 foot, but he plays so big for his size. He reminds me a lot of Sam Bennett for the Florida Panthers. Wait a minute, coach. Yes, this is the kind of player could be in NHL. That's a prototype of player the Flyers like to have inside of the organization for many years. That's the reason Martin got selected by the Philadelphia Flyers. 7th overall pick, the Boston Bruins select Jake O'Brien from Brandon and the OHL. O'Brien, another excellent skater, 6'1", but he played the game very well. He can score, he can play defensive, and remind me a lot Elias Lindholm with the Boston Bruins. That's the reason the Boston select O'Brien. Number 8 overall pick, the Seattle Kraken finally decide to go with a winger. You can see, guys, many center from pick number 3 all the way to number 7. It was all center. And the Seattle Kraken go with a right winger, 6'3", Potter Martin. This is really late pick for Martin. Could be a steal, maybe, for the Seattle Kraken. Martin remind me a lot of Philip Forsberg for the Nashville Predator. And if he can carry on the way he play and junior to the NHL, this could be a top 6 forward with the Seattle Kraken. 9 overall pick, the Buffalo Sabres select the another center, Roger McQueen. That surprised a lot of people. McQueen, if it was not an injury with a lower back, it could be a top 5. 6'5", is going to bring another great big size player for the Buffalo Sabres with Tage Thompson. But look around, Benson, Quinn, many of those wingers are small, and that's a great additional player for the Buffalo Sabres. McQueen remind me a lot Quentin Byfield, by the way. Number 10 overall pick, the Anaheim Ducks select the second defenseman. And this draft, Hutchinson. Hutchinson, a solid player as a defenseman. Does not hesitate to play physical all the time. For me, it reminds me a lot of Jacob Trouba in NHL. Can hit, you have to put your head up in front of Hutchinson. And that's the reason the Ducks select the left defenseman. 11 overall pick, the Pittsburgh Penguins select another defenseman. This time is Jackson Smith, a 6'3" body. Jackson Smith like to be physical. For me, Smith remind me a lot of McNabb and NHL. We see how he's going to carry on, but definitely he's going to be physical. He can play very well the 1 versus 1. This is a good additional player for the Pittsburgh Penguins. The New York Rangers go with another defenseman. This is a third back-to-back defenseman. The giant 6'6", Radim Merka. Merka remind me exactly Tyler Myers in the NHL. Big body, can play very well on defensive zone, can play physical, compete very well. He has not much offensive like Tyler Myers carrying this in NHL. And that's the reason the Rangers is going to be a big right defenseman on the right side of the game. And that's the reason Rangers select Radim. Number 13, the Detroit Red Wings select Victor Eklam. For me, is my wild card. If I was a team general manager, I would select him top 10. But Eklam is the brother of William Eklam from the San Jose Sharks. He reminds me a lot of Travis Konechny. Small body, 5'11" only, but the kid can compete. In my opinion, he play maybe better at Frondell this year overall. But this is a great selection for the Detroit Red Wings. Continues to accumulate a lot of prospects inside of this organization. Look what happened with Marco Casper last year. The 14th overall pick, the Columbus Blue Jackets select Layden Lenkovic from the Moose Jaw. Lenkovic, a big body of 6'5", very good skater, good hands, does not compete all the time. Remind me a lot Anthony Manta in NHL. This is going to be a good player for the Columbus Blue Jackets. They already have Fenty Johnson, and this is another great additional young players at long term. And don't forget also Caden Lindstrom. At 15 overall pick, the Vancouver Canucks, just in front of Montreal Canadiens, have two possible players to select. It could be Carter Bear or Justin Carbonneau, and they go with a big right winger, Justin Carbonneau. And the reason behind that, it reminds me a lot of Dylan Holloway from the St. Louis Blues, draft by the Edmonton Oilers. Carbonneau is a good skater, good hands. Sometimes you need to compete a little bit better, but at overall, Carbonneau is going to be a very good additional player for the Vancouver Canucks. And now the Montreal Canadiens select back-to-back. I know many of you are the Montreal Canadiens fans, and I'm not going to disappoint you because I select Carter Bear from the Everett Silver Tips. Carter, only 6 foot, play winger, play like Brendan Gallagher. Compete, does not scared to go in front of the net. He have a good hand, score 40 goals this year, but this is going to be a great selection for the Montreal Canadiens. And then my 17th overall pick for the Montreal Canadiens, I go with a little bit a long shot. And I go with Jack Newsbit, another big size, 6'4" winger. Newsbit remind me a lot Morgan Kiki in NHL. We'll see what he's going to do with his development at long term. It's a little bit longer development for him. Big body, he needs to improve his skating. He can compete, but for me, it's going to be, honestly, his skating will be his biggest problem. But if he can become better skater, this is going to be a good pick for the Montreal again. A bottom 6, big body, that's what you're looking for. At 18, the Calgary Flames select Brendan Coates. Coates remind me a lot of JT Confer in NHL. Small body, 6 foot, but a great competitor players. Good center. That's the reason the Calgary Flames select Coates. At 19 overall pick, the St. Louis Blues select from the Kitchener Rangers the defenseman Cameron Reed. Reed, a 6 foot left shoulder. Good skater. Great hockey sense, join the rush a lot. You have a lot offensive side of this game. Remind me a lot Jimmy Tressel for the Flyers. At 20 overall pick, the Columbus Blue Jackets select from NCAA the right defenseman 6'2", Logan Hensler. For me, it remind me a lot Ziverson. Did not have a really good first half, but he finished strong. Some people are a little bit concerned about his physicality of the game. He's going to be a second pairing, a third pairing in NHL. If he can compete a little bit more and play a bit more physical and improve a bit more his skating, Hensler is going to be a good selection for this Columbus Blue Jacket. At 21 overall pick, the Ottawa Senators select Malcolm Spence from OHL, a 6'2" body. I like how he compete, play very well with Team Canada. It could be selected a bit early if a team looking for a player compete all the time. For me, Spencer remind me a lot in NHL. Barbashev for the Vegas Golden Knights. At 22nd overall pick for the second time, the Flyers select another player, and they go with Rishny. Rishny is a good hockey player, a little bit small, 5'11", but he compete. He's a good skater. He reminds me a lot of Connor McMichael for the Washington Capitals. In my opinion, this is going to be a good selection for the Flyers after they select another center, Martin. This is going to be good two selection from the general manager, Daniel Brière. At 23rd overall pick for the second time in this draft, the Nashville Predators select a defenseman. Fittler is going to be the selection of the Nashville. A right defenseman, remind me a lot of Joel Edmondson, big body. He can play the both sides of the game, but he's really physical. He's really well on the 1-versus-1, and because his skate is good, that's the reason why for me Fiddler is going to be a good player in NHL. 24th overall pick, the Los Angeles Kings select another defenseman. This time is a left shooter, is Sasha Boumedienne. Boumedienne remind me a lot, in my opinion, Mike Madison. Yes, he can turn the puck, but he's a great skater. My only problem I have with Boumedienne, played with the NCAA this year, does not compete all the time, or is not physical a lot. If both of this, if he cannot improve this, it could be a problem for Boumedienne and NHL. If he can improve, this is going to be a good selection for the Los Angeles Kings. At 25th overall pick, the Chicago Blackhawks select Milton Castrin. And the reason behind that, guys, because he's a great player, good skater, but he compete. He reminds me a lot of Ross Colton for the Colorado Avalanche. And that's the reason the Chicago Blackhawks, after they select, of course, Frondell bring a winger inside of this organization, and he brings some kind of size, and that's the reason they select Gaston. At 26th overall pick, the Nashville Predators select the first goaltender of the NHL draft, and I'm talking about Ravensburgen. Great season this year, big body, 6'5". It reminds me a lot, guys, Jacob Markstrom in NHL. Same prototype of the goalie he's going to become in NHL. He could become better if his development is appropriate for him. But this is a great selection for Nashville. We know Zaros is signed an 8-year contract last year. So when Ravensburgen is going to be ready, but I think that will be the end of Zaros. This is a good pick for the Nashville Predator. At 27, the Washington Capitals select. They go with a long shot. They love the Russian players, and they go with Daniel Prokhorov. Prokhorov is a great player in MHL last year. Big body, 6'5". My prediction for him is going to be a bottom 6 in NHL. He will need to improve a little bit more his physicality of the game, but he can put the puck in the net. He needs to crash a little bit more to the net also. Could become a good selection overall by the Washington Capitals if Prokhorov becomes the title player we expect in NHL. At 28, the Winnipeg Jets select Mason West, another big body. We know the story about West. In my opinion, it reminds me a lot of Michael Rasmussen. He have 2 scholarships in NCAA, and he wants to finish his football season next year. After that, he will only focus on his hockey career. And I think that kind of Mason West fit with the Winnipeg Jets. We know with Adam Lowry, Barron, Appleton. This is the type of player the Jet love, and that's the reason they select Mason West. At 29 overall pick, the Carolina Hurricanes select William Orkoff, another big body, 6'4", plays center winger. Orkoff, of course, it reminds me a lot of Joel Armia in NHL. Great on the puck protection. This is the son of Sean Orkoff playing with Edmonton Oilers. Look, good skater. This is a good pick for the Canada Hurricane, and he could play at the same way the Canada Hurricane play all the time under Robert Damo. Yes, it will take a little bit longer for Orkoff to join the NHL, but it could become a good selection for the Canada Hurricane. At 30 overall pick, and I'm going to move to under the side of the graphic, the San Jose Sharks select another long shot, and I'm talking about Cameron Schmidt. Schmidt played with the Vancouver Giants last season, can score. The problem is size. Only 5'7", 5'8". He reminds me a lot of Keller Yamamoto. Can he become a Cole Caulfield? I don't think so, but this is the kind of player he can put a puck in any area on the offensive side of the game. Great release, good hands. He need to improve a little bit more his hockey sense, but that's not afraid to play with physicality and again bigger size in front of him. That's the reason Schmidt is part of my first round. And at 31 overall pick, the Flyers select Bill Zonon, play in the Quebec Maritime Hockey Junior League. Many teams would like to get that. Why? Because it reminds me a lot of William Carrier for the Vegas, now play with the Canadian Hurricane. Every shift, it's all about compete, compete, compete. And that's what you get from Zonon. And that's the reason I put him on my first round pick over many other players could be there. And because the way the Flyers play, I'm talking about early, they select Reshny and Martin. This is the type of players the Flyers are looking for a long term. A team play with physicality and compete all the time. And this is another selection for the Flyers, the third of this NHL Draft 2025. Finally, the 30th overall pick, the Calgary Flames select a surprise maybe club, Nestrazil. Nestrazil is a big body 6'5", play with Czechia, a big right winger. In my opinion, he's going to become a player like Kozar. It's another selection players where maybe his hockey sense is not there yet, but every time compete, play physical. That's the reason my two selection on this NHL draft is more about that area of the game. That's the reason two teams will have to bring some size for the Calgary Flame as a forward. We know they have a couple of small players, and that would be another great selection for the Flame. This is going to be their second of the NHL. This is my board on my NHL Mock Draft Top 32 2025. From 1 to 32, now is your turn to leave me comments below my video. Tell me what you agree or disagree. Of course, guys, I'm not an expert about the NHL draft prospect. That'll give you a little bit more an idea what it could become the NHL draft. And don't forget, please, to subscribe, click on the like, become a member of the Hockey Nation Live Show. And of course, you have greatness inside of you. And we wish you an amazing, great, blessed day, everybody.